Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Here I have a 1971 Honda CT70H model. This is what I got with the CRF50 trading for the XR75. He doesn't know how long it's been off the road or when it ran last, but he's owned it, I think, for a few years. And in that time, he's replaced the headlight bucket, he's polished the triple tree, mounted a new horn because you need the horn bracket to mount the front fender and a rear fender, and that's it. Personally, I think it's been off the road for at least 15 years, if not more, just because what I'm seeing here. Like the tires, for instance. The tires are supposed to be Bridgestones and they're she-shins or whatever you want to call them. And they actually rebranded their tires to Maxxis in the 90s for the US market. So going off the condition and age of these tires, I'm going to say these were mounted probably in the 80s. Could be sooner or later, I really don't know, but that's my guess. And it's got 8,300 miles on it. And looking at the bike, that seems accurate. I'm hoping that there's not a lot of worn out items with that many miles, but we won't know till we get into it. So this is going to be a two-part series. First part's going to just, can I get it running, riding, and do a ride video at the end, hopefully. Second part's going to be a revival, going front to back, top to bottom, going through everything. Tires, tubes, repaint the wheels, wheel bearings, grips, seat, fuel line, everything. Wiring, all of it. So I did find out that it has spark though, and how I found out was I was messing with the clutch to make sure it was engaging and disengaging when I kicked it over, and my hand was over there on the spark plug wire and it shocked me. Not a lot, but enough to let me know it has spark, which is a good thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the carburetor, since I know it has spark, or enough spark hopefully to run, and then we'll go from there. So let's get started. All right, we're going to start taking this stuff apart, and there's only a few sizes you need. There's going to be a 14, a 10 mil, and two 10s over here, and then you'll have to loosen the carburetor cap. So before I take the other bolt off, I need to take this one for the air box off. There we go. It's all going to come out in one piece. That's great. So, I ripped it. Great. So, all right, everyone. Carb is on. Can't leave nothing alone. It's probably a good thing this time. Took the flywheel cover off, took the cam gear cover off, took the tappet covers off. I just want to make sure everything is in time to where when we fire this thing up, we don't have any malfunctions. Flywheel is set at top dead center. Valves are at top dead center. The top one's a little tight, bottom one is a little loose, but nothing that would stop it from running if that was the only issue. The timing chain is our issue. If you look in here at the bottom of the chain, when I move the flywheel, see how much slop there is? That's a no bueno. It's not supposed to be like that. So, and this little shiny ring here was rubbing up against the actual cover here. And my guess is, since there's so much slack in this chain, it was taking the tension off the cam itself and allowing it to move. Just the theory. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what we're going with, or that's what I'm going with. So what I'm going to have to do is take the adjuster, the timing chain adjuster cap off. It's right here. And I guess I was wrong, but I thought I could get to it from here, but you can't. So I actually have to take the engine guard off to get to that, which it's basically just 6 bolts. There's 2 here. Can't see it. There's 2 here, 2 on the other side, and then the 2 right here that are also part of the foot pegs. Gonna do that real quick and I'll get back with y'all. Got the 4 up here undone. About to do the ones on the bottom that are part of the foot pegs. And these always are a gamble. If it's depends on if it's supposed to be a 12, but I ran into people run different bolts, longer bolts, shorter bolts. A lot of times they're missing or stripped out. I haven't even checked. So 1, 2, that's a good sign. So and that's not a 12. Hopefully it's just gunk. That one fits. Get out of here. Airbox. Nope. Nope. Well, there's 2 that are 12s. So I think it's been monkeyed with more than I'd like. But that's not going to work. We'll grab, I'm hoping a 13. This is a 14. Yeah. And that's way too big. So, and believe it or not, this, like I said, this happens a lot more than you think. So, I should only need to take the front 2 off. I shouldn't have to worry about the back. And so, looking at all this oil, I think that shifter seal is actually leaking as well. And sometimes people actually run longer bolts because the other ones strip out and they want to get a better bite on some threads. Well, that goes straight into your crankcase. And I found some where people have done that, started leaking oil. They added silicone to the threads and stopped the leak, but that's just to hide their screw ups. I'm hoping that's not the case here. So that looks like it's a lot longer bolt. Hopefully I'm wrong. So look at that. You can see that. But it's a longer bolt. Not much. I don't see anything leaking. There is oil in it. I've already checked. So it's just a combination of everything, seems like. So that's off. Now I can access this. Here's my 12. Actually, it's a 14. What am I doing? But I need to go get a tray real quick. So that is going to leak a little bit. Got a tray. I'm just going to stick the oily bolts in there. What? I could have swore there's an adjuster on these. All right. Well, that ain't stopping, so. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to dig into that, see what I find, and then we'll go from there. Next thing I have to do is have to pull this plate off where the stator mounts to. And what I'm going to do is just disconnect it here. Maybe. Okay. Not going to pull any of this off right now. But I'm going to have to try to get these 2 bolts out, and they've already been stripped. So I may have to drill them out, but we'll see. This one seems to be in better shape, so we'll start with this one. All right, I'm going to try to get a better angle here. All right. Whew. Lucky with that one. With these impact screwdrivers, what I'll do Instead of just laying it on there, I'll put a little pressure on it and just hold that pressure. And there we go. And I should have some decent used ones to use. Look at that. And I think that one's the better of the two. Oh, this one's the better one. But I got really lucky. The easiest way I found to get these off, it's not the nicest way, but I've had good results with it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a claw hammer and get underneath here. Once that starts to move, I'll work down here. I'll just go back and forth till it comes out. There we go. Hopefully that was enough. Yep, there we go. Now, before I pull this off, I don't know exactly what is going on. I'm hoping the chain is just stretched, but the gear down here, the bottom one's metal, which runs off, which is what runs your oil pump. If those seize up, then the teeth actually become round, and then your oil pump stops working. There's a rubber one up here, like this. This is a decent used one that I kept off another build. And if that's worn out or sticking, and eventually it'll because all it is an idler. That's all it does is keeps tension on it, which you're about to see. But I don't know what the condition is behind here. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Great. Well, that ain't good. This is supposed to have teeth on it, and it does not. But it still has enough, I hope, that it still spins, which it does, which is great. So hopefully it spins the oil pump enough. This is completely rounded. There's no teeth on it. Like I said, this right here is supposed to look like this. So it is pretty much gnawed all the way down. I was hoping that it was just this that was the issue, because I've seen these where they're just worn plumb out. And usually these are still in decent shape, but this is not. So I didn't want to do this, but I'm going to have to pull the other cover off to access the oil pump so I can spin this off. All right, well, I'm going to start taking that other cover apart. I'm not going to bore y'all with that as far as just taking the cover off, because taking the cover off is just removing the bolts. But I will show y'all taking the shift selector off, clutch off, everything like that. But I won't really worry about anything else. And if I see anything over there, I'm actually just going to address it then and not really worry about it later if I have the parts and don't have to order anything. If I have to order anything, depends on the condition. I may just let it ride till I actually overhaul this engine, because I'm going to have to. After looking at all this, I'm honestly surprised. I'm actually honestly going to be surprised if it actually has enough compression to run. Covers off. Hopefully these come off easy. Grab a hammer, take the bit, tap it in there. Hopefully breaking some of that stuff up. Got lucky there. Not really a good way to get this thing off. Right in the oil. All right. Bearings in there. Okay. Stay. It's actually not as bad as I thought, but there's actually indentions here. Once I do this, you'll see all this crap come off. All this is clutch material, oil. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. And then here, there's tabs, like a little lock washer, and you want to pull them tabs up so you can get the socket in there. There we go. Off. All right, pull this off. It don't look too bad, actually. I was expecting this to be have some burn marks in it, but there's no burn marks there, and it actually looks like it's in really good shape. So okay. All right, and there's your oil pump right here. And to get this off, it's actually these 3 big bolts, not these little ones. These actually hold the actual little pump gear in. So this one's going to be the longer bolt right here, obviously, because it's actually raised and it has this little plate here to go through. And then here, there's a shaft that goes all the way through to the other side to that gear that's worn out. So, I'll take this bigger flathead, stick it in here, and then stick something on the other side and wedge it in that gear so it doesn't spin when I'm trying to break this loose. Which is going to be fun doing this. It's difficult because that gear doesn't have any teeth on it anymore. All right, I was able to get the gear off last night, and I just called it a night after that. This is what it looks like, and this is what it's supposed to look like. So this is just a knockoff one. This isn't a Honda original part because this actually has a little threaded part in it, like the inside spins inside the gear, but this has a clockwise rotation which spins this, which always keeps torque on it. So, and again, that's the other idler gear. This is the new one, or new used one we're putting on that's still in good shape. I've never done one when it's on the bike, so this is a little bit different. Oh, this is not easy with this big screwdriver. Kind of a pain in the butt. This is what I'm going to attempt to do. This is going to be a long process. Because basically, I have to hold this with the threads, spin that big flathead, thread it in, torque it down. So I'm not going to show you all that just because it's going to take quite a while, and then I'll get back with y'all when I'm starting to put other things back together. Chains off, idler brackets off, took the gear out, oil pumps in, oil pump gears in. What I wanted to do, I forgot to say, was I wanted to put everything together, see how much tension was on that chain, and it was still loose because I already installed the tensioner spring here and basically just unbolted the cam gear from here, worked it down, and pulled the cam gear out through the top and pulled the little wheel. I'll show you all that here in a minute. It's pretty worn out. And pulled all the chain and the wheel out through here, and I'll put it back in through here. Okay, here's the chain that came out, and you can see how some of the links are sticking together, bunching together. It's actually not stretched terribly bad, but I'm going to replace it anyways with most likely this one. Actually, I'm going to replace it with this one because none of the links stick together. Wish it would do it on camera. See how they're just sticking together like that? So, and this is the spacer wheel, or this is, well, no, this is the one that came off the bike, and it's pretty worn out. And this is the one going on it. You can see the difference. I don't know if you can see the actual difference or not. So, because once I put everything back on with this still attached, there's still a lot of slack. So hopefully I can work this in there with the decent used chain. Like I said, don't recommend this at all. I'm going to rebuild this or overhaul this engine anyways. So I just wanted to do this just to simply get this bike running and show you all that with some decent parts, whether they're new or used. Like if I used a new one and sealed out the whole bike and the bike ran, then I wouldn't have to take it apart. But seeing how all these parts are worn out, I really don't know the condition of the inside of the bike. So we'll figure that out in the next video, or hopefully the next video. Hopefully this thing runs once all this is back together. Like I said before, this isn't ideal at all. You want to use new parts. Worst thing I want to do is kink this one up too and damage it. So, you know what? Let's try it the other way. That may work better. I don't know. I've never done it like this. I've usually dropped it through the top, but the head's usually off when I put new chains on. Oh, come on. There we go. That's way better. But now I have to keep an eye on this. When I do assemble these, what I do, I'll put the bolt back in and push all the way through. That way it stays on the head or on the cam and then doesn't fall back into the engine. Because usually when I'm rebuilding these and putting these together, it's vertical. Now the fun part is getting this up here where I can put the bolt in. So I might have to take the oil pump gear off again. It'll make it a lot easier. Now there's just no room because that old one was worn out enough to where I didn't have to worry about that. All right. Now all that time I spent taking or putting the cam or the oil pump gear on to put it or take it back off. So, all right. I'll do that and I'll get back with y'all. As soon as I got off camera, I was messing with some things. I tried it one more time and it just fell in. So it's in there now, and I got to figure out how to prop it up so I can stick this in here or stick the bolt in. That's going to be a chore because I can feel it right here. I think that's it. Yep, that's in there. Oh, it's a 10, not a 9. All right, that's in there. Oil pump gear's on. There it is. I'll roll it around. I'll move the gear. All right, that's set. You put the cam bolts back on. These are 9mm. As far as I know, it's the only 9mm on these bikes. There is a torque spec for this, but with this little impact, actually, I usually just hammer these down with this, not too hard. And I've never had an issue. So, now I put the flywheel on, make sure everything's still where it needs to be. Engine's at top dead center. Timing marks are at top dead center. All right, it took me a minute to find this. It was actually underneath the flywheel. So the actual tensioner is actually bottomed out. So that means the chain and the, or slack in the chain is too much. But they were the exact same chain. Huh. Maybe that one was beyond stretch too. I didn't think it was. All right. Well, I'm going to simmer on this and I'll get back with y'all. All right. I had to swap out the chain for another one because I didn't do the test, but this is the original one I pulled out. Now, a bunch of the, see how it's sticking like that? No bueno. And you can do this test with normal drive drive chain as well. Is you can hold it out and see how much that sags. Side by side. See how much this is sagging versus this one. So actually the original one is in better shape than this one because it's not supposed to do that. So I found another chain that I put on, and now I'm going to take y'all over to the clutch side and we're going to look it over a little bit, and then we're going to put that side back together, put the other side back together, and hopefully fire this thing up. All right, I went ahead and took this gear off. I wanted to check it, make sure all the teeth were good. It's in good shape. There's just a little C-clip that goes around here that holds this in. But when you're having shifting issues, the weak points that I've found are right here on where it keeps it in gear, or in the gear that's selected. Right here, actually either here or usually sometimes here, it actually will start to crack. And then once that happens, it won't stay in a gear or won't go into gear. And then also the arm behind here, they usually get worn out as well. They'll start to, because they're in like this, they'll usually start to spread out. And this one actually looks in decent shape. So everything in here looks good. So just going to start putting it back together. And the C-clip is kind of a pain in the butt, especially with my worn out pliers. But there we go. That's in. Went through the clutch, got all that built up clutch material out, and took this apart. Everything looks good. Actually, the friction pads look great. So I was actually surprised with that. Actually, I got to put the clutch on, or the oil pump on first. Sometimes this is a pain in the butt because you get a line that splines up. There we go. All the way on there. This back on there. I honestly can't remember. I'm going to have to look. So I don't work with a lot of 4-speeds. But on your 3-speeds, it'll have this lock tab on the back, and then it'll have a actual spacer or a washer. And I'm not seeing that here. So either it didn't come with it, or it's taken off. So I'm going to put this on here for now. I'll go look that up and I'll get back with y'all. All right, I checked and there's no washer behind that nut. I guess it's only on the 3-speed semi-auto clutches. But let me show you all the stuff I pulled out of that clutch. All this is the stuff I pulled out of the sides of the clutch behind that cap, because it just the centrifugal motion of it just throws all the material to the outside of it and just collects over the years. So, alrighty, let's get this thing back together. All right, I got the clutch cover here. I'm going to run the old gasket. I didn't have a new one. It only tore right here. I cleaned it up the best I could. I've already cleaned the oil filter that's underneath the clutch here. It's actually in good shape. See if I can pull it out to show y'all. There was very minimal debris in it, which I was actually surprised. But yeah, that's all that is. Get back in there. Go to your home. There we go. So there's an 80% chance this thing's going to leak again. So I'm not really worried about it as long as it just maybe drips a little bit. Because I'm going to replace all the gaskets and seals in the next video. I'm going to go from this top to bottom, front to back, and it depends on how well or bad it runs. I may actually overhaul the entire engine. So we'll see. I also I had a new kicker seal, so I replaced that. Actually, I need to add a little oil to that real quick. I actually add some mystery oil, some marble mystery oil. No idea what's in it. Maybe it's Chuck Norris saliva. I don't know. But we will see if this actually works for what we needed to do right now. When you're pushing these seals on like this, you want to make sure that lip. Actually, hold on. Yep. Make sure that lip on that seal is actually where it needs to be and doesn't roll out. And see, it's starting to roll right there. Starting to roll right there. So I need to get something that's dull and try to and clean. Put that back over here. Stay. And actually, if I can't work it back in there. So this is, didn't damage the seal. It's just a pain in the butt sometimes. That's why I kind of like to put it on. Actually, let's just do that real quick. If I don't damage it, there we go. Kicker seal, you put these on, you kind of got to push it back because that kicker seal or a kicker shaft, see how it springs? You have to move it to get it to line up with the dowel pins. All right, let me clean this seal real quick. Clean all the debris off of it. Hopefully I can get this on here without actually messing it up. Yep, there we go. I need to find something the same size. Looks like a good hammer to me. Actually, there's a hammer right here. And there we go. All right. Bolts. They're still in good shape. And there's obviously different sizes. 3 that size, 4, 5. These other ones. And if you look around your case, the ones like this one's further out, this one's in. So the longest one is the one that's raised the most. These other 2 are the same. We'll go over here to the clutch side, or the clutch bracket, and then one below the clutch. This one goes here. This one goes here. This one goes here. There's one here. And one here. So I'm actually going to start these with the manual so I don't cross thread them. All the bolts are started. What I usually do is I'll start in the center and work my way out. So let's just say I'll start here, go here, 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 go back over here. Actually, no, from here I'll go up here, and I'll just work around. So now I'm going to start on the other side. Since everything's in timed, I'm going to grab a seal and an O-ring for the stator cover. Hopefully I have a seal. It wasn't leaking, but I'd like to replace it now. Stator plate, I got a new crank seal on it, a new big O-ring on it. I've already lubed them up with Marble Mystery Oil. And the little O-rings here, very important. Make sure they're in there or you're going to have a leak. And what I do to hold them in place, I just get a little bit of grease, dab them on there, and they stay in place. And then when you're putting this on, you want to make sure that this seal doesn't flip out. And then I wasn't able to actually get or find decent bolts, so I'm going to have to use these and hope for the best. And then this, just back and forth, just little here, little there, till it goes all the way in. And that should be good enough. Never mess with the timing. It has spark. If it runs on this setup where the points are at now, then once it's running, then I'll adjust the timing from there. The advancement mechanism works on this, so I'm not going to mess with that at all right now. Put this back on. Well, I'm going to have to pull that back off. We're going to tap and die through these and start putting everything back together. All right, flywheel's on. Everything's back together. Muffler's on. Pegs are on. I still have to go through the rear brake. I took the nut off here, all 5 of them. I thought I had the actual proper nut, but I don't, or haven't found it yet. So I'll have to adjust that more before I take it for a ride, or if I get to. I'm not sure yet. So, but this thing should be ready to fire. So I'm going to add the fuel. I've already put oil in it, and we'll see what happens. All right, as you can tell, it's coming through. Actually, I don't think that valve was shut all the way. Let's see. All right. Well, it's not overflowing through the bowl, which is a good thing. But it's still dripping here. So what I'm going to do, we're just going to fire it up. And like I said, I knew this was going to be an issue because this is a worn out fuel valve seal, but it's all we had. So put that there for now. Power's on. Let's just see what happens. was wanting to. Oh, it's choke. No choke. Turn the fuel off. Might be flooded. Doubtful, but possible. So, take this plug off. And the bowl gasket, I can look. You can see around the bowl. It's weeping, which I knew it would. It needs a kit. No, it's a little wet. See what that does. And nothing. This thing may not have enough compression to run. So adjust the timing. See what happens. All right, well, I'm going to check the compression. I'll get back with y'all. Because when I spin it over by hand, I put my finger over the spark plug. And I felt like I had good compression. So, might be in the carburetor. Might be some junk in there. But it should at least try to bite off because it does have spark. Seems like it has somewhat decent compression. So, but I'll let you know what I find out. All right, I sanded the points again, adjusted them. I replaced the spark plug with the newer one. The other one was obviously old. I checked compression. Compression is about 120. So, and overnight, I mean, it's the next day, but overnight, the gasket on this side is actually leaking, which I figured it would, but it's just a little drip. So, we're going to turn the fuel on and see what happens. Here goes nothing. Oh, it's in gear. Oh. I'm going to swap back to that old plug. It's got to be in this carburetor. I do have another one that I could use. I don't want to use it. I want to try to get this one to work before I try that. So I have a little test carburetor I use on when I rebuild engines, and it's from CHP, and they have good aftermarket carburetors. Or I found that they work for me, so not everybody may feel the same. So change the plug. Let's see. Hey, look at that. Oh, that's crap. Come on now. Just needed more fuel. I guess that old spark plug is better than the new one. Oh, what are you doing? Come on. Well, that's a start. I really need to replace that carburetor because I do not want to have a backfire and it catch on fire. Well, it did fire, so it did run. So, turn that off. Didn't like the throttle though. Maybe the advancement mechanism on the flywheel is sticking. So I don't think it would cause it to do that as bad, but I really want to run it with this long enough to hopefully get some heat in it and maybe build some compression back. I guess it just didn't have enough fuel, I guess. I really don't know. It's above the bowl, so it should gravity feed just fine. And if you can't, I don't know if you can hear it when I'm kicking it over, it's that chain's still so wore out. The idler arm is actually touching the back of the case because it was like maybe 1/8 of an inch from the case. And then when you get the engine rotating, it just sits there and bounces it. So that's what you're hearing. It needs a complete makeover. So probably just end up swapping the other carburetor on there, slapping it on, or the good carburetor I'll put on here, and then see if I can't get it to run better. So it's going to keep backfiring like that. I don't want the backfire flames out and ignite everything. So I'm going to pull this off, go grab the other carburetor, slap it on, and see if we get a better result. It's not something I wanted to do, but it's necessary. All right, I wasn't able to use the other carburetor because the throttle cable is shorter on this one. So with this cap and the slide and everything else, it just wouldn't work. So what I used was the original carburetor with the new bowl, or the bowl off the other carburetor. So turn the fuel on. Make sure fuel's already on. Okay, cool. Alrighty, let's fire this thing up. Hopefully this thing will run now. I feel better about it, but I still don't know. No choke. Come on. Don't know what's going on. And it could be this little makeshift spark plug boot, the spark plug boot they have. It might actually be that coil. So what I'm going to do is hook up a makeshift coil that I have that I use for test engines. Hook that up and see if that helps. Because it ran for a little bit, wouldn't rev up, and then it died. Like I said, that timing chain is still loose, so while it is timed, the actual alignment on the cam gear is a little off, but I don't think it's off enough to not allow it to start. I can hear it sucking through the carburetor, and it's coming out of the bowl. So I'm going to hook up that makeshift coil, and I'll get back with y'all. All right, well, I tried to use a different coil. It wasn't getting spark. So I cleaned up. I noticed this connector here was actually a little corroded, so I cleaned that up a little bit. I got spark now, so let's see. Fuel, and let's hope for the best. I don't know why this keeps falling out. Goes in, as soon as it runs, pops out. So I don't know if it has anything to do, because this is where your shift drum is. I don't know if something's out of whack there. I don't know. All right. That's all she needed. Table's getting I'm just going to let it run. Hopefully cycle that oil through, get all that gunk built up, and hopefully build some compression back. There was about 120 PSI. I don't know if y'all can hear the chain on your side, but it's worn out. That chain just slapping. It needs a complete overhaul. But it's not smoking, which is surprising. I mean, it did when we fired up for those few seconds, but there's the smoke. Well, there's the smoke out of the carburetor too. And it could be the condenser and stuff like that. They go bad. There's no telling how long this thing has sat. So I actually ran a few of these plugs through the vapor blasting cabinet, so clean them up pretty good. That's getting sparked, but not at the right spot. It's getting spark around the base, not the electrode itself. And this is the spark plug it came with. It cleaned up nicely. Let's try that. Oh, that's getting great spark. So let's put the old spark plug back in and see what happens. See if it runs longer, because I could just have a bad plug. Which is weird to buy a brand new plug and it works maybe 80% of the time. You get an old NGK plug off a bike, clean it up, and it'll run forever. It making no sense. All right. While I got it running, I'm going to check the timing. Don't you die on me. It's a little advanced, not by much. Not bad for eyeballing it. But I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to let it run. It calls for a celebration. I'm going to fire back up, see if it's just a fluke. Oh, I'm going to call that a win. I'm going to pull that bottom. What I was doing at the bottom here, there's a vent tube, and I was checking, and there's actually nothing coming out, so I actually think it's clogged, which is why there's no seal here, which is why I think the pressure is coming out of there. So maybe it's a clogged tube, I'm hoping. So I may actually try to pull that off. All right, the vent tube is disconnected from the case. I'm going to fire it back up, see if I'm getting pressure coming out through the crankcase. If not, then there's probably some buildup causing it not to vent, which it needs to vent, because that will cause a lot of other issues. So, lit my cigar a little too early. Oh yeah. Now she don't want to run. But now it's venting. That tube was clogged the entire time, which is another thing people overlook. These things need to breathe. Now that it's unplugged, you don't want to run. Maybe I need to idle it up. It's actually running a lot better since I allowed it to vent or breathe. Let's see if the clutch works. It might die. Oh. There it died. All right. Well, that's one way to turn it off. Oh. That chain does have a lot of slop to it. I don't know if you can hear it. It sounds like a rod, but I don't think it's a rod. I'm going to check the oil or change and check the oil. But I'm still going to try to do a ride video at the end of this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the oil, button everything up. And after that, I'll make my decision whether I'm going to or not. So, all right, everyone. It's the next day. I'm not sure if y'all heard last night when it was running, other than the chain making its noise, there was another sound that kind of sounded like a rod knock. But what it was the shifter was in between gears, allowing it to make that sound. Once I put it in neutral, it went away. So that's a big plus. I did check compression. I have close to about 140, 145 PSI. When it started, it was at 120, so that's a big plus. I drained the oil, and it picked up a lot of the sludge on the bottom of the case, so it's got fresh oil in it now. I went through the rear tire, just the chain, just the brake, so now I have a decent rear brake. I added fuel line, so now I'm running off the factory tank. So the only thing left to do is ride this thing. So we are going to do a ride video at the end. I'm actually excited because I wouldn't think that I was going to get this far. I thought it was just going to be, will it run, and then that's it. Because after hearing that sound like a rod knock, I was upset, but it is what it is. So, but that's pretty much it. I want to thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all in the next video.
It's cold. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching.